Got Gators breakdown here. We know we're business.
Gators breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I'm your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Here we are back again with Andrew Franklin. You might know him as Sponge right there. Man, we got season starts next week, so we're gonna wrap up. We're wrapping up fall camp with we got a few more player interviews, and been enjoying doing that the last couple of weeks. But next week is game week. But before that, we'll hear from Billy Napier about the mission for a championship defense. Part of that mission is going to be a really stacked linebacker room. We'll get into that room a little bit here with Myles Graham and Jaden Robinson. We'll hear from Cam James too. First time we've really got to hear from him, and I tell you what, you're going to like what he says about just kind of put his head down and working for this defense. And then we'll go to the offense. We'll hear from J. Michael Sturdivant, Aidan Mizell. And if we have time, we'll see how long this thing goes, because it's a loaded episode. Maybe Bryce Lovett as well, the new starter along the offensive line. But Sponge, not much longer, man. We'll get some games this weekend, and then full steam ahead next week.
I'm telling you, the train is pulling out of the station, dude. And like I say, once it gets rolling, it is full steam ahead. And yeah, it's like I said, we've talked about it, for the last couple of weeks. It's just talking season where you just talk and listen, and
for sure
you hear everybody just it gets a little tiresome just because you're like, man, how much more can you talk about this? How much more do you have to hear about that? And like, I know all these players and coaches, are ready to get after it. Just this whole, it's just a long this part of the off season is the grind where you're like, all right, let's just get there. And we're at the final stages, and we got football this weekend, and we will be kicking off in less than 10 days.
Yeah, ready for it for sure. But we got a little more to get into before we get there. So everybody hit that like button. That like button really helps us out right here on YouTube. You can subscribe as well right here on YouTube, whether you're watching live or you're not watching live, you're catching a replay, or your favorite podcast platform. You can subscribe there as well. Leave some comments. I know a few in here already. So Andrew Ruskin saying woo, and also saying full steam ahead, all gas, no brakes. And James Davis says, hey, finally made it live. Usually have to catch up a few hours later. So James, thanks for hopping in live on this episode of Gators Breakdown. We got plenty to get into, so it should be some good conversation to get us started there. And one more time, a little reminder, gatorsbreakdownmerch.com. You can get the Move Back You Suck shirt that they put out there just a couple of weeks ago, and some of the other new designs, or newer designs. If you want to support Gators Breakdown in another way, gatorsbreakdownmerch.com is a way to do so. And also, right now on Gators Breakdown Plus, link is in the description there, but gatorsbreakdownplus.com, you can go there. There is a ticket giveaway for the LIU game. Gave away tickets to USF this past week. Got Phil threw in 3 more tickets for the LIU game. So there's a giveaway going on right now in the Discord. So be sure, if you want a chance to win tickets there, be sure to join Gators Breakdown Plus. But you get those ad-free episodes and access to the Discord as well right there on Gators Breakdown Plus. So, Sponge, let's get to it. Let's hear from Billy Napier. And it was a quote that I wish I'd have got into Monday, but I already had a loaded episode. We got into plenty of Billy Napier on Monday, what he had to say. But one more that sticks out. I knew we were going to talk linebackers tonight, and we like where that room is at. But Billy Napier was asked about the defense and how it's kind of shaping up for this 2025 Gators, and some really interesting comments from the head coach.
I think that we are on a mission here to play championship caliber defense. That's what I would say. We are on an absolute mission to play defense at a high level. And if you dig into, it's one of the things that we have failed to establish here since I've been the head coach, to be blunt. And I would say my last stop as a head coach, we were very good on defense, and we improved each year. I think we were like 124, 18th, 25th, and the final year we were 11th in the country. So we need to do that to become the type of team that we're capable of being. And I think that I've seen this group of players talk more about that. I think we have personnel and depth and leadership over there to do that. And I think the coaches, this group of coaches, have done a fantastic job with this group.
Sponge, there's so many angles to go with this. There really are so many angles to go with this. First, let's go back to why we are so hopeful for this defense and for this team, because you go back to November and, hey, look, DJ Lagway deserves a lot of credit. That offense deserves a lot of credit. But, man, it really was, to me, this turnaround on defense, because how many times have we said under the Billy Napier era, don't get me wrong, now it's not like the offense was lighting up the scoreboard week in and week out or anything like that, but there were plenty of times where we said, man, the offense played good enough, but, man, the defense just let us down again and again and again. And we've been saying it since 2020, but the previous staff as well, not just Billy Napier and that, but we have went so many, you and I are about the same age, and many of our listeners out there are about probably the same age as we are as well. It was a given Florida was going to have a good defense. Yeah. You might have 1 year, you might have a flyer where it didn't live up to expectations. Like what comes to mind to me is, the 2007 defense following the 06 team and in between the 08 titles, but you go back and look at it, I was like, man, I'd have taken that 07 defense for anything that we had the previous 4 or 5 years here. That's just what you expected. You just went into a season and it was basically, the question was, how good is Florida's defense going to be? Not if they can just be, not just to be serviceable. Right. No, you knew Florida was going to have a good defense. And ever since 2020, we come out of that 2019 season and Third and Grantham was alive and well, but the 18 and 19 defenses weren't that bad. And we were asking ourselves, hey, what can they take the next step? Can Todd Grantham and that defense take the next step to go against the elite teams on the schedule? Well, not only did they not do that, they completely fell off the face of the earth, and it's just kind of been that way ever since. It's trying to get back to a point, to me now, for this year, it needs to be championship level. That's what they want, but that's got to be the first step in just getting a more consistent defense, something we were used to for so long at the University of Florida.
Yeah, no doubt. Like, again, the best part of championship teams or really good teams are teams that can play complementary ball, teams that can do both, teams that can lean on one or the other side of the ball when one might not be doing what they need to do, or like if the offense is playing really, really well, then maybe the defense can slack or have a bad game. But you got to be able to pick it up in reversal. You can't have just where we suck on defense, we can't stop anybody. So yeah, definitely going back to the back half of last year, we know that DJ was a huge boost in the quarterback, with his quarterback play, and we were able to run the ball. But you think about LSU and Ole Miss, those are two usually high-powered offenses. I mean, they light up scoreboards. Nussmeier, Jackson Dart last year was really good. Those receivers at Ole Miss,
they were before and after that Florida game.
That's what I'm saying. So we did a hell of a job of, kind of slowing those two teams down. They didn't really score a lot. We gave them fits. We did a good job in coverage, against those receivers. We did a good job pressuring. So, like, again, those are why, we think that we have the makeup, the DNA of having some sort of championship level defense that we can complement, DJ Lagway, the run game that we're going to lean on, obviously with the running backs we have, the offensive line that we're going to lean on and count on. So that's again why we're so excited about, putting it all out there on Saturdays, is to see the finished product as we're good on offense and we're good on defense. And yeah, like you said, back in the day, you think about some of those defenses like with Stoops, with Spurrier, and even after that, Charlie Strong and some of those teams with under Urban, and more so, I guess, it's just like you can recruit speed on defense from Florida. So you're gonna have fast, corners. You're going to have fast safeties. You're going to have big physical defensive linemen. So like, I feel like, the recruiting, the portaling, the roster makeup is kind of getting back to, some of those old school defenses that we kind of had, that we leaned on. And definitely, whatever button they pushed where they flipped the switch of, even coordinator wise, Roberts, we were always questioning, like with Armstrong, it's like, I don't know about this guy. He's young. He's kind of just talking fast. Is he really dialing stuff up on defense? I don't know. Then Ron Roberts comes in. They kind of make a little change here and there. They do a little bit of stuff different in practice. Next thing you know, the defense is playing at a higher level. So you got to think that they figured some stuff out. And with the personnel we got back, we should be pretty solid. That's what we're hoping for. You know?
Yeah, and good point about the coaching staff. That's where I was going to go next. And Kempo Karate in the chat saying last defensive coordinator was hired by Billy. Well, not only that, the one before that too, Patrick Toney did not turn it around in his one and only year as defensive coordinator for the Gators. So I think that's and Napier mentioned the staff toward the end of that soundbite as well. And I think you and I talked about all the continuity on the defensive side of the ball player-wise, but I think something we did overlook a little bit last week is having Ron Roberts back. Now, last year you did have Austin Armstrong coming back, and, okay, it did not go so well. But as you kind of alluded to, Florida figured that out pretty quickly, was able to kind of reverse some roles, give some more responsibility to Ron Roberts, and we saw the turnaround. So now you have the same voice. You have two guys from Washington who come over, and there's some new faces on there, but with Ron Roberts heading it up, being the voice, kind of being the architect of this defense, not a lot's changing. Just because you got some of the assistant coaches at in the secondary and at linebacker, not a whole lot's changing because of the man heading it up.
Yeah, no doubt. And like I say, that's that again. What a lot of things breed is consistency. Having the same. Not a lot of change. So if you return personnel, you keep your coaching staff intact. Those are all things that, is big time when it comes to, you think about, the good teams, obviously with Saban, he was having a hard time retaining coaches because they were going on to get better jobs. But, the main kind of stuff stayed in place. And, you think about somebody like Glenn Schumann has been with Kirby ever since he got over there. And so that defense, they know what they're going to do on defense. It's not changing much. So if you got the right guy hired and, you got your right philosophy, you got your right, you keep recruiting the personnel that you need to run your defense at a high level, then you're going to have success, and that's the biggest thing is having those things in place. And then you just let the guys go play, and like I say, now we're starting to get some of those guys that are fun to watch fly around, get to the quarterback, lockdown corners playing man-to-man defense. You can do some things. You can have some flexibility to do a lot of things when you have the right personnel.
Yeah, for sure. So you mentioned that, and that's where we'll be going next. One spot the personnel has just flipped since Billy Napier's been head coach on this defense is that linebacker room. It is a true linebacker room there. You don't have tweeners. You don't have guys that were safeties before, and now they have to play linebacker. No, these guys have played linebacker in high school. They got the instincts to play linebacker. And it is a group that is four deep sponge that I think they feel good about all four. Any combination, you can go out there and we feel good. Whether it's any combination of Myles Graham, Pup Howard, Jaden Robinson, Aaron Childs, I'm truly believe, and I know you've been around the program a little bit lately, but you can talk to staff, you can ask people, you can get some insight on what they think about that building, and they are really high on this linebacker room and their potential. So we're going to hear from Myles Graham and Jaden Robinson, but big picture sponge, and like I said, we'll get more in particular about those two players coming up, but it is a room that you have to love the transformation since the staff has taken over. Now, some of it, we did see that group play better. I think a lot of it, and I think rightfully so, I don't mean this in a bad way, is a lot of hype with this group. I am buying into the hype of this linebacker room.
Yeah, no doubt. And like I say, and we've even had some backers. I think it's more so the depth of the entire, like you said, we can go with four guys. Like,
right, I mean, I had David Reese and Ventrell Miller. But that'd be about
Shamar James was fun. He was good. Scooby would have been nice to have for, stayed and all that stuff. But like, that's where, you have like a one-off guy. Like, Ventrell played, phenomenal his, last year. But, the compliments around him weren't as good. So, this is where, like you say, you can combo any one of the four guys or, whoever, and you got to feel comfortable with who's in the game. You're going to be fine.
For sure. So let's get into it. And man, impressive on the mic already. As a young guy, we will go to second-year player Myles Graham.
Legacy kid here. There's a lot of them on this team. Does it mean more when you put on orange and blue?
Absolutely. Being a legacy to me is everything. I get to put on that 5, same number my dad wore, Graham on my back. So having that legacy, it just means everything to me. We had some speaker come in, we had Shep Inspires come in, and we had Katie Hill come in. They preached to us that our last name is bigger than our first name. So representing that every day, it means the world to me. And just having that is just everything to me.
It's maybe the biggest lesson you've learned from your dad. I mean, he's also a coach, star player, but you got to see firsthand what he has done. What has he maybe taught you?
He's taught me a lot. He's taught me everything I know. Honestly, getting here, I couldn't have done it without him. So one of the biggest lessons he teaches me though is never get complacent. You know what I'm saying? Never get too comfortable in your comfort zone. He's done a lot of great things in his life, and he's seen guys get complacent, get comfortable. So he just doesn't want that for me. He knows that I can accomplish a lot, playing this game, and he just doesn't want me to ever get comfortable. There's always more to.
What's it mean to get praise from veteran guys? I mean, Jordan Castell said you get it. Devin Moore says you're hungry. I think Sapp said you have superstar potential. What's it mean to have come in and kind of already earned that praise from those guys?
Man, it's a blessing. It really means a lot to me. Being a young guy, you don't want to let the older guys down. You feel like you have an obligation to them to put your best foot forward. They know you're going to make mistakes, but it's about what you do after that. Like, how do you learn from it? So having that recognition, I still don't want to let them down. Even though I'm an older guy now, I just still want to be the best version of myself for them, more for my teammates. I'm a team guy, so I just want to do my best for them and have team success in the future.
I feel like just having expectations. I mean, there's a lot of talk already about how good you're going to be, and people expect a lot of you, and you obviously of yourself. How do you kind of carry that and harness it? And I know it doesn't mean anything until you do it.
I've had it for a while. You know what I'm saying? Pressure is a privilege. They say pressure makes diamonds. So I listen to it, and it's a blessing. Having expectations, a lot is expected from you. So I'm going to make good on that. Every opportunity that comes my way, I'm going to make the most of it. I'm not going to be perfect on the field, but I'm going to give you my all. I'm going to give you my last. I'm going to empty the tank every play, every game. So that is definitely a privilege, but I just want to make the people closest to me proud. I'm saying the people in this facility, the people around me, and I'm saying everybody. So
Coach Napier said he thinks the linebacker room might be the best in the country. Jaden Robinson said, he was in here last week, said he thinks you guys have 4 guys that deserve to start. It's just a matter of competing. What's that room like? And do you guys have goals as a position group or as a defense?
Absolutely, man. We got a lot of talented guys, older and younger guys. So like Jaden said, we have a lot of guys that could start here. We have a lot of guys that could play anywhere, honestly. So we're all gonna eat, man. We all just want to see each other go out there and do what we do. So we're all going to go on. We do have teammates we do have goals as a defense, and that's just to be the best that we can be the best defense, that the Gators can be. And we're going to play hard, play fast, play physical. Like I said, we're going to empty the tank, leave no doubt, and just play and just do what we do.
Handling the pressure there. And hey, look, but there's pressure for him, as I said. I mean, just look at him. You can tell he's Ernest Graham's son. Man, almost a dead ringer for Ernest Graham. But look, it is cool seeing number 5 out there again with Graham on the back of the jersey. So, certainly somebody I expect Sponge to just take a huge leap in his second year, take all that experience that he was able to garner last year, especially when Pup went out later in the season. Jaden Robinson had to step up. We'll hear from him. But Myles Graham also got some more playing time. Had that interception in the bowl game, so making some plays. You'd like to see the ball in his hands because he had that running back background as well in high school. But certainly somebody you expect to be just a huge contributor in his second year for the program.
Yeah, dude, I love that kid, man. And like I say, I was actually with EG on Saturday at the scrimmage, and it was definitely cool, sitting there with him and seeing that 5 on the field in that blue. You're just like, man, this is cool. It's pretty cool. And just being able to, just watch him, as I've watched him obviously at Buchholz, because he's, when they moved to Gainesville, left Georgia a couple years ago. So he was just playing at Buchholz, and he was thumping, at Buchholz, so then you're having this legacy guy, a good dude in EG, where, like I say, EG was one of the best, man. He was, like I say, he was a good dude, toting the rock for us back in the 2000 age, you know, it was fun. We had to we were all messing with him when Myles had a pick in the end zone, man, and dropped it. We were all like, "What's going on, buddy? Is that why he's playing defense? You know, he can't run, he can't tote the ball. You know, he can drop it, but you know, he was. I'm sure he was the hardest critic of him. Like, damn it, you know, you got to make that play. But no, it just overall, like that, like the amount of just sheer, you know, maturity from him, you know, as a young guy, it's crazy, but you know where he gets it from, and that's you know, just because of his dad. So, you know, just his, like I say, his maturity level, you know, takes him up a notch to where you don't think of him as, you know, maybe a first year starter, as a second year player. You know, you kind of look at him as a vet. So I'm definitely high expectations and think he's going to be, you know, big time for us. And like I say, he's, you know, not selfish. You know, those guys are selfless to where they get paid. Yeah, we got 4 guys who can start, and we got 4 guys who all want to play. You know, only, you know, we can't all be on the field at the same time. So, you know, the rotation should be, you know, keeping them fresh. You know, get a good rotation. You know, let the hot hand play, and you know, like I said, the upside is big for that linebacker room. And like I say, this is probably the best one we've had in quite some time.
For sure. Yeah. Myles Graham last year as a true freshman, played in all 13 games. He had 30 tackles. And remember, you know, splitting time with Pup Howard before he got injured. Shamar James out there as well, of course, the vet. So, of course, it was going to be hard to come by as a true freshman to get those snaps, but did start coming later on in the year. 9 solo stops in that, 1 sack, 2.5 tackles for loss, the interception in the bowl game as well. Forced a fumble and a quarterback hurry. So, I mean, projected starter now at that linebacker room. And, of course, he was SEC all-freshman team last year. So, Billy Napier did say, you know, earlier this fall camp, he goes, quote, "I think you saw that Myles is unique in his ability to play. There's a big toolbox there, and I think we need to create opportunities for him to impact the game." Yeah. Love hearing that, because to me, that quote says – that's what we see in practice. Yeah. That's like, we see what can happen when he gets in there and lays the wood. And look, when you got, you know, hopefully a healthy Caleb Banks and a healthy Jamari Lyons right in front of him, I mean, you got to talk about the symbiotic relationship too now between those defensive linemen that we talked about last week, and now this really good linebacker. I mean, you have the chance for, we talked about just 4 of the linebackers, but start adding them up and you go front 7. Because of this linebacker room and because of, hopefully, you know, a healthy defensive front. This another reason we're high on this defense, and this defense taking another step is pairing all that vet experience up front with this really deep linebacker room. Yeah, no, and that's where, you know, I think it could be super dangerous, is solid right up the middle. That's what you always, if you have a solid right up the middle, going all the way back to having Castell back there at safety, you know, you go the 1 through 3 layers of defense. Those defensive linemen, yeah, sure, Caleb Banks and Jamari Lyons and some of those guys, you know, you obviously want them to rush the passer well, but, you know, really and truly, you know, if those guys are plugging up holes in the run game and letting Myles and Pup and Jaden Robinson and Childs roam free back there and are able to, you know, hit the hole and strike those running backs, you know, dead in the water, that's going to be huge in stopping the run, you know. So, like, all that is cohesion with it. You got to have all of it, you know. If those guys aren't, you know, taking on those blocks, and then those linemen are getting to that second level and blocking, you know, Myles and those guys, that's where you have trouble. You know, then they're hitting holes, and now you got a guy trying to make a tackle 20 yards downfield, and that's where open field tackling hopefully has improved. But, you know, you don't want your safety tackling running backs 20 yards downfield. You just don't. Like, it's going to happen. There's going to be, you know, there's going to be breaks, but the more so consistent level of play from your defensive line definitely is going to matriculate back to where your back 4, you know, your linebackers are making plays, you know, at or right at the line of scrimmage. And, you know, that's what you want. So, like I say, if those guys are able to roam free, they're going to make plays. And then on top of that, you know, sending them on blitzes, you know, I think they're all kind of that good blitzing style linebacker as well too. You know, they're kind of like slashers. So, yeah, like I say, the positivity and the upside for those players are, you know, definitely pointing up, you know. So, like I say, now we just got to put it all together, you know, dial up the right stuff and go make plays. All right, let's go to Lake City. Lake City, baby. Lake City. Jaden Robinson speaking to the media as well.
Mm-hmm.
How much have you improved with the in-helmet communication aspect, and what was it like just last year getting acclimated to that and using it?
It was great actually being able with the mic and the headphones talking with Coach like the NFL. It was great because Coach might spot something on the field, have me give a little tip to like the D lineman or something. It was great.
Have you been doing that? I mean, you probably did that a ton during spring with Pup out as well. Just how much do you feel more comfortable doing that and taking advantage of it this year?
Yeah, I was doing it last year as well. I had to green that because all the mics use it, and I feel like this off season I was using it to like another level, being able to like make a little check here and there right before the play.
Are you a louder guy out there on the field? I mean, you got to be with the communication. I mean, just have you gotten more vocal since you've been here? You feel like?
Yeah, this off season I took a bigger step in being more vocal, being able like to be able to control the defense more. Like I said, that's one thing I did this off season.
What is it about Coach Roberts' defense that you like the most?
I feel like he's aggressive at times when we need to be. And he's gonna put us out there in the right plays. Like we're gonna have one-on-one matchups, and when it's on us, like to make the play.
Him and Coach Napier said they think you might have one of the best linebacker rooms in the country. Like, what are you seeing in that competition among that group and in the room?
I see a lot of like leaders in that room who are like pushing every day, like to get better, and we're holding each other accountable every day. Like we're coming in here, we go like get onto each other, like we see each other slouching.
What kind of improvement have you seen from Myles Graham and Aaron Childs as well, too?
Those guys took a next step, like in being like leaders on the field. I could say like they're very more vocal now, and like knowing the defense, they're putting a lot of time in, like to learn the defense, and they're doing great.
Myles looks like he's kind of almost caught up to Aaron Childs and how bulked up he is. I mean, just what could that do for his game to be more physical in his second year?
I say like that'll help him like going to take on like those pulling guards and those big linemen when you taking on the counters and like scheme fist. I say that's great for him.
What's just kind of your path been like in terms of just maintaining patience?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's as Jake said, you know, offensive line's a developmental game. The whole sport is, and you kind of had to wait your turn.
Mm-hmm. I say like really, I was just like trying to get better throughout the whole time because I was feeling like I wasn't ready yet. I was just really like focusing on myself and getting better on like little things, what I need to get better and improve on.
What weren't you ready with?
I'll say
diagnosing plays, but
diagnosing plays and being like more vocal, being able to help teammates getting lined up and like getting them in the right spot.
Jaden, what's different here? I mean, you from when you came in here, what's different about the program? What's the different feel? Is there a different feel around this team? People throwing around the playoff word, which I think everybody kind of thinks is possible.
I feel like everybody knows like we can win it all here now. Like we feel like we're comfortable now. Like we know what it takes to go out there and win. We know how we got to practice now. We know what it takes, I can say. And like just like the trust we have for each other is like on another level now.
All right, hearing from Jaden Robinson and Sponge. It's kind of funny when you look at it because we talked about all these four linebackers, and he was the less heralded one coming out of high school. If I believe off the top of my head, you had Pup and Myles Graham and Aaron Childs. All believe around that top 100 range, I believe, and then you have Jaden Robinson, who probably had in that 400, 450 range when it was all said and done. And, hey, he can live up with the other three right now. And remember, he was a flip from South Carolina. He was committed to South Carolina. It's funny how there's a South Carolina connection to this linebacker room with Pup actually going there. And Jaden committed there for a bit. But and he showed it early as well. Not as highly recruited as those guys, but did show as a freshman that he might be able to make room for himself in this linebacker room. And look, and I started this with a little bit because I said, hey, Florida's done a great job at recruiting more true linebackers at the high school. But Jaden Robinson in high school, he was a do-it-all guy. I mean, he might be linebacker, he might be rush in, he might be safety. He was a guy, Columbia was moving around a good bit, and you could see that when he's on the field because he does such a great job at chasing down plays.
Yeah, no doubt. And like, like I say, even though I stepped back from my role at Trinity, I still was, watching film, and I would, give my thoughts on what I thought when I would watch game tape. And Trinity played Lake City; they play them every year. So I saw tape on Jaden and what they would do with him. Like you just said, he was like the guy you were looking for on Friday nights to be like, okay, where's he at? We got to block this guy because he's all over the place and he's making plays. So, Yeah, he's kind of one of those scrappy guys. You know, Lake City guys, those are those blue collar kind of players, man. They're gonna just bring their hard hat and just play ball. You know, they don't worry about all the accolades, and he doesn't care that he was a low 4-star, 3-star, whatever. He's, like I say, he's caught up to those guys. He's put his stuff on tape to where he's like, hey, I can play with these guys. I could be a real deal linebacker in the SEC. And, you know, like he said, with what's crazy is, you know, you look at like Childs, like I say, 240, you know, maybe like that's, you know, Pup's almost 240, 6'4". So he's like a big, like, and these guys, like he said, when, you know, you have these pulling guards, if, you know, they're able to not get taken down by your D lineman, you know, these guys will go in there and put their face in the fan and, you know, they're going to hit something, you know, so that's where even if you don't stop the run, you may clog it up even more by, you know, taking on these offensive linemen, which, you know, a lot of times some people shy away from that contact and they get out of the way. And then next thing you know, the hole opens and, you know, out the door, you know, bye-bye. So like I say, all these things intangible wise, you know, I'll use the word that the intangibly rich, baby. We got some intangibly rich linebackers, you know. So I feel good that, you know, and like I say, the good part about it is him, you know, becoming more of a leader. You know, he's saying he's become more vocal. That's a big thing. And, you know, using the helmet technology, basically lining guys up, like all those things are huge parts of defenses, man. Like they're so complex. There's so much stuff going on. You got to be able to communicate well. You got to be able to say, hey, I'm coming in this gap. You need to, you know, make sure your other counterparts, your other linebackers know what the calls are. All that stuff is super important. And, you know, that's part of you know, defense communication, you know, is huge, you know? So like, that's one of the things you got to be able to know. Like, you know, Gus used to always tell me like, and that's why everybody loved Gus, was he was so smart. He knew all the defenses. He would basically get everybody help everybody get lined up. And so when you got players out there who know what the calls are, know what to do, and are able to communicate and help out everyone so everybody knows their job and you do your job and not try to do anything else, that's when defenses are really good. You know, don't do anything out of your job. You know, yeah, you want to make plays and make things happen, but if you just stay consistent and do what you're supposed to do, 9 times out of 10, you're getting off the field. So those are all things that's hard to do. But, you know, like I say, we're going to find out. But I feel good about all these guys being able to make those calls, make those plays. And I think we're in good hands with, like I say, any 4 of these guys.
Yeah, Robinson never redshirted. He's appeared in every game since he's been on the roster. So go back to last year, of course, had to take over mostly for Pup Howard once Pup went out in that Texas game. Finished last season, he had 52 tackles to Jaden Robinson, 28 of them solo, 3.5 sacks. So there you go. I mean, it's the kind of production that you think he'll at least repeat, if not overcome, this coming up year. So good room out there, and certainly looking forward to pay major dividends as Billy Napier is talking about that mission of building the championship defense. Another part of that is the edge room, and a player we haven't heard a whole lot from. Let's go to that edge room and let's hear from one Cameron James.
Billy was saying you're one of the best football players in the team. Tyler Myles was raving about your leadership. What steps have you taken since the end of last season to position yourself to kind of draw that praise, you think?
The biggest thing has been Coach Napier is big on having a lot of guys come mentor us and having great bodies and minds in the facility and around us at all times. So it gets poured into each and every player every day. And it's really been connecting with me, and it's been instilled in me. And I guess, you know, after time and time and seeing so many greats come through here, and they've been where I want to get to in life, you know, it'd be crazy not to follow their lead. So,
Coach has said that at the edge position, you guys basically, he sees as you guys have 2 starters. And then last year, I think you started the first 4 games, and they made a lineup change with Tyreek. What was that like to go through? What was, I guess, maybe said to you about why they went with Tyreek, and how did you just kind of go through that?
Well, I wouldn't say you can't take it too personally. Like, I mean, you can, because, you know, you want to be a starter, this and that, but he got the hot hand. He found his way. You know, I was young. Yes, I was producing, but he became the #1 ranked pass rusher in the nation. You know, the highest graded on PFF. So You know, it's envy can be the death of players. I could have hit the portal. You know, like, you can't do that. You know, you got to stay down and grind. Like, just the same way as Sapp was an older player and I started over him. He could have easily, okay, I'm not going to do this. You know, I'm not going for this. But he didn't do that. He stayed down and I feel like both of us having started so many games just raised the competitiveness in the room as a whole. So it was competitive everywhere, though, like with Jack Pyburn, TJ Searcy, and George Gumbs on the other end. So I feel like it just made everybody, once they get in the game, we were really intentional and appreciative of our reps. So having a competitive room is a great thing to me.
And then you talked about Tyreek kind of taking off last year and blooming. What was it like for you to play with him and just learn from him and see what it took for him to play that way?
It's motivating. I don't think anybody wants to be the person that comes into the game and is like, get him out or anything like that. You know, you don't want to be the letdown of the room per se. Like, and we're all brothers. So especially, I know when I get in the game and everybody's getting hyped. You got Jordan Castell making a play right here, then Sharif Denson, then Aaron Gates, then Dede, and then you get in. You know, you want to make yours too. Like, it's just a brotherhood, and I feel like us being so close, it makes it easy to want to get in and just go as hard as you can for your brothers.
How hard is it to kind of accept maybe that you're not where you want to be? And that's hard for anyone to kind of like admit to yourself and just say, I got to do more, do better. I mean, was that tough when you were a big-time recruit, but then you come in and start realizing that you're kind of behind?
It's humbling for sure, but it's all a part of it. You know, I feel like I have never been an entitled person. So for me, it may be easier than it can be for the next person. I have a great support system, so they made it easy. You know, my dad, he was a coach for me and all my siblings for a while. So hard truth is, I've never been shy from it, and I love to hear the truth. And so when I was told like that, you know, you medically not where you want to be, and that was true. And I was told the things I had to do. It was easy to listen because I know it's coming from a place of love and somebody who wants the best for me and who's never done me wrong. So, you know, you got to put your head down and grind. You can't be too don't be entitled.
That was your dad telling you?
Definitely.
There we go, Cameron James. And I mean, look, the chat's in here saying it too, and you can certainly see it. Andrew Ruskin, James is the disruptive freak, played exceptionally well in big games, has that clutch factor. And Andrew, that was Jordan, my bad. And then Andrew says, I love the attitude of these guys. Billy may have started slow, but he has built an amazing culture. Hey, look, you know, part of that, you see it, and it's great to see in this transfer world of college football, a player like Cam James continue to work, continue trying to prove himself. You know, the prospect of transferring, you know, not crossing his mind. But basically it says it. He goes, I'll never talk down on somebody else's path. I don't know their exact situation. Some people, the portal's the best thing that ever happened to them. But for me, I believe coming into a school and staying down, and I never plan on entering the portal. He goes, but it definitely does feel rewarding when you have a team that's built on principles that is actually a family. It's not a portal team. You know, we have a core beliefs and all that good stuff. So, I mean, it goes a long way, you know, it feels like it's rewarding for a player like Cam James. And look, and the guy he's splitting time with, there's a great example right there. We've talked about Tyreek Sapp early in his career and not knowing where to put him and not being so easy. And he put his head down. He kept on. And it all of a sudden just kind of blew up last year for Tyreek Sapp. You start asking around the program a bit, Cam James, they don't think there's a drop-off there. It's like, all right, Sapp, you need a breather. All right, so, you know, or anything of the like that. Cam James comes in, and the staff feels really good about what he brings to the table, too. So, certainly, now look, we all know, and I'll say it over and over again, the wins are what matters. The culture got to come first somewhere.
Yeah.
So, the culture, you know, I've always said the culture is good. It's not a winning culture yet. This is how you get there.
Yeah. No, totally. Like, just hearing that is, man, it's a breath of fresh air for sure. And like, you know, being around high school kids and knowing the mentality of most of them, or even guys who are, you know, only a year, two in the program or in college, not a lot of them have that kind of mentality. And even I'll say the word we use for like maturity. The kid, he kind of gets it. So, he comes in, you're a highly recruited guy. You might have started off, you started, but then, they feel that you're not where you need to be and you're not getting it done. So, then like you say, Tyreek Sapp just kills it, terrorizes it, and he's a beast. And what does this guy do? He basically is like, let me learn from this guy. Let me put my head down and grind. Let me get better so that there is no drop off. So that when I am in the game, they're not like, get me out because you ain't doing nothing. So like nobody wants to feel that way. So, to hear him talk and to hear him say, everybody's rooting for each other. That's what you want to hear. That's a good teammates. That's good. Like you say, good culture to where you're like, yeah, Sharif just made a play. I want to go out there and make a play. Gums just got a sack. I want to get a sack. Tyreek's rushing the quarterback. Somebody gets an interception. The whole team's rallying behind each other. And when you got that, that's something special, And so you don't have just, sure, a lot of these guys are out there for themselves. There's a lot of me personalities, and they want to get, their NIL bag. They want to get, they want to start and all that. And again, it's hard to have all of the right formula and right pieces, in. But when you got a guy like this, who believes that you have to work for it and not just be entitled, that's what you want to hear, because 9 times out of 10, that's the nature of the game now. Is what are you going to give me? I'm starting. I'm the best player. They just got that. They got all the wrong reasons in their train of thought. And like when you have that, that's when you guys have guys hitting the portal after year 1 or year 2, and it's almost good that they're out. So the thing about it, that's the crazy nature of this new era of college football. You got to find the right guys. You got to make those relationships and those connections. And, obviously we got to pay and do all that other stuff. But, when you can find at least guys who don't want to transfer, who want to be at the place that they signed up for, that's when you got the right guys. Now, hopefully you have been putting your head to the grindstone and you've been, you're ready to ball, so that when Sapp comes out, you're ready to go and there is no drop off. That's the biggest thing to, again, like we said, building a championship level defense when we started this. When you have the guys who can come in and be that next line, whether it be a guy needs a blow due to injury, whatever, there's no drop off. It's just next man up. When you start having that in your program, that's when you're good. That's when you're good, man. That's when you're good.
And I'll say this too for somebody like Cam James, seeing, and you kind of mentioned it too, seeing the success of Tyreek Sapp. Well, that's something widespread on the team that the guys just haven't seen.
Right.
There was you have players here or there, but it was kind of the first time there was this team mentality, and there were guys that stood out. Don't get me wrong, but then there's an example of that's what I can be. That's what I can, and I want to stick around for that.
Yeah,
you've had while Florida's been bad the last few years, you've had your single guys who have played good, but then you had single guys who were playing good while the team was playing good at the same time. So it gives that incentive of just wanting to kind of stick with it, and hopefully that's what pays off this year. Because, it's going to go a long way for this team. The way they decided to construct this roster with guys like this, it's time to see it pay off. If development and relationships been your calling card, well, this is what you built for. This is what you built for, and it's there for the taking. It's there for the taking.
Definitely.
All right, now, Sponge, let's go to the other side of the ball. Let's talk a little bit of wide receivers. J. Michael Sturdivant, Aidan Mizell. Well, we'll hear from those two guys. But, hey, look, it's a room that's had to do some shuffling this fall camp. Some dings and some bumps and some bruises with Dallas Wilson and Trey Wilson and Aidan Mizell himself. So we'll get into that storyline a little bit. But let's first hear from the transfer, J. Michael Sturdivant.
Coach Napier and Billy G, they've done a great job with receivers. They got a long history together, and I seen the direction that this program is heading, the receiver room, the quarterback room, the O-lineman, and the success that Coach Napier and Billy G have had. So I'm extremely blessed to be in a position with those two guys that can give me the knowledge and put me in positions to go help this team win games.
How did you see yourself fitting in? Like someone mentioned the other day that you're one of the fastest receivers of the group. Like, what do you bring to this receiver group?
Well, I'm an older guy. This is going to be my 5th college season, so I bring a lot of experience, a lot of confidence, and obviously I can make plays on the field. So coming here, I'm excited to help the young guys and help the guys that have been in this program to continue to succeed and be process-oriented and believe in ourselves, have a lot of confidence when we get on the field, and be able to help this team win a lot of games.
How competitive is that run?
This room is very competitive, whether it's when Billy G asks a question, who can be the first one to answer it on the field, who can make the most explosive plays, who can make the best blocks. But it's all love. Like, we love each other. The room is very connected. Like, tonight we're about to go watch a movie, the new Weapons one that came out. We're about to go watch that together because a little off day, so we get to treat ourselves a little bit. But I love these guys. This room is very close together, and I'm extremely blessed to be here.
Dallas Wilson, he's kind of, for 18 or 19, how advanced is he, let's say?
All the new guys that came in, they've been very impressive. Dallas, Vernell, and Montgomery, they've been very impressive to me. All 3 of them, they came in and they're very confident in themselves, and they're not cocky at all. You know, they're all high profile guys, but they came in and they're ready to learn immediately. They're not trying to talk over people. They're listening to what people are saying, but they're also being competitive. They're not bowing down to anybody. So it's been really impressive to have those guys. They're great people off the field, and it's been a lot of fun to be around them.
How did the off-season training program help you? You're a veteran guy. Just what were your areas of focus, and how do you think you improved?
I'm just trying to build myself, fill my frame out, and still maintain my speed and my strength. So this offseason, I came in at like 200 pounds, and now I'm 215. I hit all PRs in the weight room, the lifetime PRs in the weight room when we maxed out before fall camp started. So I just came in. I trusted the staff, and they did a lot of great things for me, and I'm extremely blessed to be here and be with a group that has a lot of knowledge and a lot of love in everything that they do.
Did you hit 23 miles per hour in the offseason?
Yeah, I think the fastest I went was like right at 23. If not, it was right under. But I feel very great right now. I feel very fast, very, very strong, and I feel ready to go.
Is the slot new for you?
I've played in the slot before. I played in the slot in high school. I played in the slot at Cal. I played in the slot at UCLA. So it's something that I'm used to, and it's another opportunity to help this team win a lot of games and make a lot of plays. So I'm excited for it.
Do you know about DJ when you signed up here?
I know DJ he's a baller. You know, he's one of the best. He's one of the best out there. He's very professional. Now that I've got to meet him, and I've been in the program with him, seen him every day. He's easy guy to like, very easy guy to like. That's my dog. But he's got a lot of talent on the field, so I'm excited to be here and help him elevate his game and help this team win a lot.
Does he throw a deep ball better than maybe you've seen before?
He's got a great deep ball. I know everybody here has seen that, so I'm excited to go out, and I think our play styles match up very, very well. So I'm excited to go out and play with DJ. He's got a great deep ball, and I got a lot of speed, and I love to make the big plays. So I feel like that's like a match made in heaven. So I'm very excited to be able to go out and help DJ elevate, help this team make a lot of explosive plays.
Sponge, one thing he said, and now this is not football related, but I think it's funny anyway. What do you think the J stands for in J. Michael Sturdivant?
Jordan? I don't know. What is it?
Junior. Junior actually comes first. I was like, okay.
Junior.
Yeah.
Junior.
Instead of J. Michael Sturdivant Jr., they decided to put it first.
All right.
Yeah, I was like, I can live with that. I'm the third, so I guess I will start calling myself
the
third David Waters.
That's like VB. We'll have to do that for Vernell.
Yeah, third Vernell Brown.
There you go.
Yeah, it was interesting for him because we talked about the shuffle because of all the injuries that have happened in fall camp so far. He's playing the X, he's playing the Y, he's playing the Z. That's why that's where the comment and the question came from about can he play in the slot. So good to hear as well, that he's got the experience doing it, because here we thought, and this probably still will be the case, but a majority outside guy.
Right.
And I think that's going to be the case because just think, and I think in some ways, and I don't really want to down the guy because everybody knows how big of a fan I was of him last year. a better version of Elijah Badger.
Right.
I mean, 6'3", 6'3", about 215. Says he can run 23 miles per hour.
Yeah,
so
he's put together for sure.
yeah,
Like,
I mean, he looks like a prototype. I mean, he looks like a receiver you would build in your video game.
yeah. No, like I say, watching him Saturday, he looks like all the part. Like he looks good. And so, I want to see him in the complement of the full. Like we talked about this at the very first time we got together, talking about like make it or break it and all these guys. And we had the Mizells and the Treys, basically due to injury, this, that, and the other. But it's like I want to see, to where he can almost be like a forgotten guy, to where it's like, everybody's so keyed in on Dallas and Trey, where like if you forget about this guy, he's going to make you pay. And so he does have that burner speed. I think he ran like a 10.2 in the 100 too. So like that's flying, dude. That's
he was a Texas high school track star.
Yeah. So like, and I'm telling you, he's put together, man. That 6'3", 215, he's all of it. And so, he moves real fluid. But yeah, I think when you put everyone together, and if everyone stays healthy, if he's got to be the true number one, that's where, he's really gonna have to step up. If those guys are banged up for a longer period of time, or if somebody else gets hurt, that's where, finding some of these guys, are going to be big. But, that was, I coached receivers at Trinity, and, I know Billy G real well. The best thing about receivers is being able to play all the positions, so that if some guy does go down, you don't have to be like, well, the next guy up in the slot is this guy. No, it's like, well, let's move this guy over, and let's move this guy. You move them around, and you're able to play all the positions. Obviously you want your best guys, where they are the best at, but you want your best guys on the field, period, regardless. So, you figure it out and you say, all right, this guy's playing the X, this guy's playing the Y, playing the Z, and you just go. So the fact that he can do multiple things, that gives you that flexibility of being able to move them around. So I think, Vernell, like I say, I love the trio, that we got, the freshmen. Obviously there's going to be, so learning curve, but it sucks that, like Dallas has been out, because you want to see kind of what he did in the spring, and you want to, see that. And so hopefully, he gets back out there, and, Trey's, I know they're both ready to get back on the field, but you put all of them together with Vernell, with even, Nashon Montgomery, TJ Abrams, Tank, like the room is getting, it's like all these other rooms.
Competition, man.
It's getting some depth. It's getting some depth, and like you say, competition to where like they're going to play the best guy. So, when you have all this, the one guy making a big play, he's going to stay in the game. So, that's what we're talking about. Mizell, you could be the odd man out if all these other guys are making plays, or you could ascend yourself and, take somebody else's spot. So that's what you want. You want to have that competition for sure.
We'll get into Mizell in a second. You just thought of a question I wanted to ask you right here, and I think it's be good for our audience. You mentioned your, association with Trinity, and I forgot that you kind of knew Billy G pretty well.
Yeah.
Because of that. So part of Sturdivant is coming in as a transfer, and there's been the success with Ricky Pearsall, Elijah Badger, Chimere DK, and as you said, Billy G more on a high school level.
Right.
What does he look for in a player, in a wide receiver, from your relationship that you've got to know with him for over the years?
He obviously loves everybody loves speed. You gotta have speed for sure. But you also, when you look at size wise guys, you want to have, Vernell kind of fits. He's kind of the X factor of like, this guy's a blur, so I don't care if he's 5'8". He's gonna make plays for you. But for the most part, you want to have that bigger body. You want to have that speed guy, and guys who can be flexible. So you think back to when he was even with the urban regime. You think about some of those receivers we had. Obviously, Dallas Baker, Lewis Murphy, obviously Percy. Those guys are all fast. They were all good sized bodies. Like even a guy like David Nelson was not like, he had good size, but he wasn't. He was. I don't know what David ran back in those days, but he was efficient at running. But you think about all those guys that were all over 6 foot. They all could run good routes. They all can kind of do different things. So like, even Riley Cooper, he was a burner. Mm-hmm. So you got to have speed as number one. And that's, you know, look in the NFL and everywhere else. If you got speed, you know, those guys can burn, you know, everything else kind of fall into place. But you got to have flexibility too. You know, want to have guys who can kind of, you know, play multiple positions. So in the event of, you know, you want to move somebody around to find a matchup problem, you know, that's always a big thing. And I think they did a great job under that regime of Urban, you know, moving guys like, you know, CI, Cornelius Ingram was like, you know, kind of that move tight end, that flex guy that, you know, they would move him, you know, to H-back. He, you know, play the wide out, you know, as a tight end. So you kind of bring a linebacker over to guard you, you know, out wide in space. You know, that's a matchup problem. He did it with Hernandez. So, like, you know, all those things that you try to do on offense, you're trying to find that mismatch to where, like we even said it the other day at the scrimmage, you know, who's the duck out here? We're going to find the duck on defense, and we're going to go at you with our best player. And so, you know, it's one of those things. That's just what you do. It's the thing where who's the sorriest player on defense, and let's go try to exploit them with our best player, and we'll move them all around to put them on that guy. You know, that type of thing. So you're looking for all that kind of stuff.
There we go. So let's get to the other receiver that we'll hear about, and there's one Aidan Mizell. And, you know, Sponge, we put that make or break label on him, and he kind of not in the tune of straight at us, but there's some you know, some talk about it is kind of make or break for Aidan Mizell.
You said last spring, I think, best receiver room in the country.
Yeah.
Argument for it, at least.
Yeah.
What is that whole dynamic like when you're trying to make your name and keep bringing guys in, and, you know, it's very, very competitive.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real competitive group where it's a lot of good receivers, but I feel like that pushes us to be better. Every, like, one of us. There's no ego, no animosity between the group. We all just trying to be the best.
You've talked a lot about, like, you know, your track and field background.
Yes, sir.
You came in, but, you know, polishing up and learning route running. I mean, where are you right now in regards to that, and I think you've evolved as a full receiver now?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I still have a lot to go. I feel like there's always more to do, but I feel like I've gotten better at my top of the route running every little nick and cranny.
How's that competition work, though? Do you guys watch film, cheer each other's big plays? How's it work, like in camp, on the sideline? What's the encouragement level, all that?
I mean, like, y'all have y'all's best friends and everything like that. I mean, that's like all of us. It's like we're a big friend group. We're going to be hard on each other when we need to be hard. If someone's not doing what they're supposed to do, we're going to let them know. But, like, when we're scoring touchdowns, we running down, we dancing in the end zone, we all got our little handshakes and everything like that. So just us having that, like, intimate relationship with each other, and then also at the same time being good football players, it just has everything work out.
What expectations you have for yourself, and, you know, you've had to be patient.
Right.
And what do you kind of envision? Do you feel like this is a chance to kind of break out a little bit this season?
I mean, for sure, but I mean, as far as me, I'm worried about team success. I feel like when the team's winning, I'm going to be winning, and it's going to carry everyone's individual success.
In terms of yourself, though, I mean, forget the success part.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you're ready to contribute even at a higher level? And
yeah, absolutely, for sure.
What gives you that confidence?
I just feel like just my, like, game recognition and everything like that. I feel like on the field, I'm looking at stuff I wasn't looking at before. I'm understanding stuff I wasn't understanding before.
Have you played any other receiver spots besides the Z?
The Z, X, H, all of them.
Do you have a preference, or do you like that versatility?
Yeah, wherever they need me, I'll be. If that's the X, if that's a Z, if they want me motioning, if they want me going deep, if they want me doing the little crossing routes, I can do it all. So, yeah.
What do you think has maybe held you back when you came in off a pretty special high school career? I know you were injured last year.
Right.
What do you think you maybe started slowly? I mean, it's not unusual.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I feel like just some people just come in more ready than others. I feel like I got hurt my senior year, didn't play much football. I was only been a receiver. I didn't play receiver in middle school. I wasn't allowed to play football. So, like, high school, I got there. It was just slow learner, I guess. I don't know. Yeah.
It's a process.
Yeah, for sure, it's a process. And I just feel like everyone just has their own process, and everyone's different, but it's all going to work out.
Late bloomer?
Yeah, a little bit.
Does this feel different, this team, year 3?
Yeah.
Does it feel like
you guys are on the verge of something?
Yeah, I feel like, especially, I feel like this is the most connected this team has been since I've been here. I feel like on the football field, this is the most talented team we've had. I feel like everything's starting to shape out well.
I know you don't care about individual success, but a lot of the other wide receivers have gotten talked about a good bit.
Yeah.
You feel slept on, or this is going to be kind of the year that you're going to wake some people up?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. If you still sleeping on me, that's on y'all. I feel like I'll show what I can do this year and move forward.
Don't be sleeping.
Sleep.
Don't be sleeping.
Don't sleep on my boy Aidan Mizell, man.
Hey, like I said, the first episode you were on, Sponge, it was kind of, our theme was make or break. And look, that was, here he is telling us not to sleep on him. And look, I don't want to. When the ball's been in his hands, he's done good things with it. So I guess the ultimate question for Aidan Mizell is, what does he have to do to get the ball more? Right. If he does good thing with the ball in his hands, what does he have to do to get it more? And we said he talked about it. J. Michael talked about it. We've talked about it. It is a deep room. There is a lot of competition. He's back on the field practicing now, while some other guys are still kind of dinged up. So does that help him, especially early on in the season, get some of those catches where he proves that he needs and deserves to be on the field a lot more? A lot of the conversation goes with this group, the return of Trey Wilson, and the new face is J. Michael Sturdivant, and the freshman that we're all excited about. But Mizell last year, 17 catches, 202 yards, 2 touchdowns. But he was, in the SEC, he was one of just 7 wide receivers to have 2 41-yard plus touchdowns. So, he's an explosive play waiting to happen. Yeah. One got called back versus Mississippi State last year. Yeah. I mean, I think if there's one player a lot of Gator Nation is rooting for to break through, to be that guy at the receiver spot, Aidan Mizell is one of them.
He definitely is. And like I say, he's got that big play potential. We've seen it. And he's going back. He's a blur. He's fast. Dude can run, so when he gets the ball in his hands on short plays like we saw against Mississippi State, he can get out of there. And then on top of that, he can blow past you. You always want to have that guy who can, as we would say, blow the roof off. You blow the roof off and, people have got to start respecting your deep ball. That's where you start, having the safeties, lag back a little bit where you can start running the football. So that's where you run the football to set up those deep plays where you can get behind them. So he's one of those guys who can blow it open. And yeah, it's all about now just going out there and making plays and doing what you got to do. And so, like you say, how do you stay on the field? When you get your opportunity and your number's called and you get the ball, make something happen with it. And those are the things that we know that he's going to have to do, especially with the depth of this room, is somebody's going to emerge. Somebody's going to take those reps and do something with them to where, again, Billy G and Napier, we got to keep this guy in. We got to take this guy out. He's making plays and the other guy's not. Or, you hope that all of them are making the plays, but somebody is going to emerge. And we obviously saw the emergence of the young guy in Dallas Wilson in the spring. And so people are already expecting that to basically be hey, this kid is a superstar waiting to happen. He's got to be on the field. He's going to be instant offense. He's your number one, all that. Then, you have the veteran guy and Trey Wilson to where he's your gadget guy and you can get him all over the place with it. So then it comes down to, okay, who's that third guy? Is it Sturdivant, the transfer, who we just heard, who's 6'3", 215, put together a solid rock, running 23 miles an hour? So now you're the fourth guy. What do you do, to take advantage of those opportunities as you get as being the fourth receiver, or do you make plays to where, we can't take you off the field and maybe Sturdivant falls back to that fourth receiver role? So those are all things that we talked about. Now the question is he going to make it happen? It sounds like he's got the right mindset, and if you're sleeping on him, sleep on him. He's going to show you. So then show us, dog. Show us.
For sure. And one thing to point out too, it did look like his game really marries well with DJ Lagway. That's where we saw, the big wow, the first big wow play from Lagway and that big pack. No, don't get me wrong, it was Charleston Southern, but still, it was just that wow play. The Georgia game, Lagway to Mizell when Florida goes up on Georgia. It's those type of plays. Those that you're looking at, that the potential of a Lagway and a receiver. Well, we saw that. with Mizell in those explosive plays last year. So certainly bodes well for him with number 2 being behind center. So before we wrap up, let's get to quickly. Let's move to offensive line. And let's hear from the new face. 4 or 5 starters returning, but right there at right tackle, Bryce Lovett.
First fall camp for you is entering this one as a projected starter. What's been different for you, and how much do you think you just looking back to this time last year have improved?
I wouldn't say much difference. The approach is still the same. Go work hard, and what was the back end of the question? Sorry.
Just when you look back at from a year ago.
Oh yeah, I mean, obviously it's a little bit different from a year ago. I got a little bit more experience, more knowledge, so it's kind of moving a little slower out there on the field. But I would say honestly, from a preparing and getting ready for the season standpoint, I wouldn't say there's much difference. Still same focus, same goal. So yeah.
Nice to focus on one position though.
Yeah, it's been, I wouldn't say easier, but it's been kind of like a load off since moving back to right tackle, not moving around as much, so yeah.
How does that show itself?
I think it gives me more time to obviously focus on one position and just instead of moving back and forth in one practice, I get to stay. So say I make a mistake or I mess up, I can really just focus on okay, what did I do to mess up on that play at right tackle? I don't have to think about, I have to go to left guard now, and we can worry about that mistake later, you know what I mean?
Was that your background in high school? Were you a tackle or no?
My background in high school, I played tackle my first 3 years and then moved to guard my senior year.
How much did just the end of last season, stepping into that starting role, help you?
It helped a lot. I got to get in some experience with obviously the other 4 returning guys, so that helped a lot. And it was good for me to be able to get some on-field play with them and just be able to communicate and just start building the chemistry and stuff. So I think it helped a lot.
Austin Barber used to play right tackle as well. Just how much is he been someone that you could lean on and do some pointers as well?
Not even only Austin. Obviously, Austin has been a big help in my development just based off his background at right tackle, moving to left and just kind of switching around. But honestly, I would say all the guys in the room are just a big shoulder to lean on if I have any questions. They're always there for me.
What's the expectations for this offensive line? I mean, you got an All-American at center. You got a lot of starters returning. You were an All-SEC freshman last year. Just what's the goals, you think?
I think we have big goals. We want to do good things with, like you said, with the 4 returning starters and me having a little bit of experience last year. I think we have a lot of eyes on us, but I don't think we're really paying too much. I think we're just going to go out there, play the brand of football that we know we can play, and leave it up to that.
You look like going against guys like Tyreek Sapp and George Gomes every day in practice. How does that help you with your development as you kind of step into the starting?
It's huge. I mean, they're really good players. Going up against them every day is just pushing me. It's they say iron sharpens iron all the time, and that's exactly what it is. They're great players. Cam James too. I mean, there's our whole D-line. I being they're great players. So being able to go against them every day, it makes me more confident knowing going into the season I'm going against some of the best guys in the league. So if I can consistently block these guys or try to consistently block these guys, then I'll have better confidence going into the season.
What has Jaden Woods done to impress?
He's not a freshman. That's what I say. I don't know what he was doing in Kansas before he came here, but he's strong, fast, smart. He's a pro at, I don't even know if he's 19, 18 yet. I mean, I don't even know how to explain it. He's a beast. And as I wouldn't say I'm getting to an older player. I'm starting to compare him to Sapp already. Just off his work ethic, his energy, his intense. He's a very intense player. He's going to be one of those guys.
What's the hardest part about trying to block him?
His speed, his ball get off. It's we have a new cadence. Well, not a new cadence, but for him, it's a new cadence. He just got here, but he's getting off the ball he knows when the ball is going to get snapped.
We'll get right back to offensive line and O-line talk. But Sponge, I know because you told me, look, 15 jumps out, and
definitely.
Here we are, an offensive lineman saying, "Hey, go ahead.
No,
go ahead and buy the hype. Go ahead and buy the hype because Jaden was going to be that guy."
You saw as soon as the guy asked the question, he just started laughing. Kid's a beast, man. Like I say, I don't know. It's just, I think it might be his motor. Like you said, his get off. He's just, super fast off the ball. And I can't wait to see it live, where he's not tamed, let him loose, let the dog off the chain, so I want to see that on Saturdays, so
I don't know if we've ever heard a freshman at this
getting
position.
that much buzz. I know, getting that much buzz.
Yeah, well, maybe in general too, but especially at this position.
Yeah, no, you're
I don't
right.
remember it.
Yeah, no, I mean, the only other player I could think of who had the hype coming out was like maybe like a Ronald Powell or something, but I don't know if they played technically the same position.
He had the hype coming in.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. No, totally, yeah.
Yeah, and Woods, a little bit of hype.
Yeah. He had no hype compared to that.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and he's built his hype. Like Ronald Powell built his hype in high school.
Exactly.
And we were looking for
right.
that.
Yeah.
This is spring camp, fall camp. It's built.
We don't. Hey, like Lovett said, I don't know what he was doing in Kansas, man. He was doing something over there. But
all right, where's he going to school? Who else do they have? And
dude is like that for sure. So like I'm excited for him too, because like I got my eyes on him last weekend, and he made some plays for sure. He was definitely in the backfield, and just thinking about this offensive line, we've talked about it. And even him talking about it, that iron sharpens iron mentality of like, I'm going against, these guys that are really good, guys on the defensive front. We've got, some studs on the O-line. And just, I think I heard earlier today, I was listening to 1010 here in Jacksonville, and I think Doring was on, or no, Shane Matthews was on there, he's just talking about, man, until you're around, these guys, we watch them on TV or, until you're like in the building or just walking on the field and you're like, damn, these guys are some big humans. And like, that's one thing that like where, when you've got a good offensive line, we call it the all airport team, the team walking through the airport looking like, so you think about the size of our starting five and even the depth guys, everybody's almost, 6'4" above, and they're all over 300. And
right here, 6'5", 321 for Bryce Lovett.
That's what I'm saying. 6'5", 321. I know Slaughter's 300. I know Austin's 300. They're all like, Harris is 300 plus. We talked about Damian George is a big man, and even the guys who are, Kearney's a big guy. Yeah. And just some of those depth pieces, like I feel like there's 8 good offensive linemen, maybe more, and you feel good about this room right now. The health-wise, stay healthy. Obviously, you're going to have some bumps and bruises on that O-line. You just will. So, again, this goes back to even talking about those linebackers. You got to feel comfortable about your starters and then the guys even behind them. Like, this is where that roster is finally starting to build to where you've got, really good players that you can kind of count on. And, I'm excited for this O-line. Like I say, seeing them, last week again, like they are big, man. So like that's where, early in the year, we all know DJ's health and all that stuff. They're gonna lean on that run regardless whether or not DJ was healthy or whatever. Because Billy wants to run the ball. Billy wants to set up that play action, and that's just his mantra. That's his style of play. We can love it or hate it, but we sure did love it when they were running all over LSU and all over Florida State and then Ole Miss, late in the year. So they're going to lean on that and then, let everything else kind of fall into place. But when you got this much guys up front and then you got the backs you've got, you can kind of do that to create, an early success with basically being able to lean on that run game to kind of get you through those early, just get you, because you got to feel it out during the season. It always takes, a game or two. So that's why, again, we talked about the schedule. I think it's good that you get kind of that, obviously the layup game. Long Island's terrible. It's good. I think we might be able to score 100 on them if we could. Yeah. But I like how the competition ramps up the very next week because South Florida is not going to be a layup game. Like they're going to come in and try to they want to do something. But then then it ratchets up obviously in those next 2 weeks when you play on the road in LSU and Miami. So I like how that's set up like that. And let's get our feet wet. Let's get the kinks worked out. Let's do all that type of stuff. And it starts obviously up front. Bryce Lovett is going to be part of it for sure.
Yeah. Shout out to Zach Goodall here. He made sure to point out that Lovett earned positive blocking grades from Pro Football Focus last season, a 78.5 out of 100. That's pretty good on Pro Football Focus, by the way. Yeah. And it's the 3rd best grade among Florida linemen with at least 100 snaps in that category, and a 70.8 score as a run blocker. He gave up 1 sack and 7 quarterback pressures over 170 pass blocking reps. He had 350 blocking snaps overall last season. So that's another thing. I mean, here we are, and so the 350 blocking snaps overall, that's passing and run blocking, that's where, the plays he's pretty much involved in. Mm-hmm. We talk about 4 or 5 starters returning, but Lovett played some last year. He's all freshman, SEC. So at the same time, while it is 4 or 5 returning or starters returning, you still return somebody who is not green.
Yeah.
He's played some snaps. And for the first time, too, since Billy Napier's been here, you're not relying on a transfer anywhere along the offensive line that came in that year. And, Osiris Torrance, year one, and you had your Crenshaw Dixons and all that. These guys that are starting are
homegrown, baby.
Homegrown, or the transfer Damian George has
been
been here
2 years.
Yeah. So you didn't bring somebody in this year to fit along the offensive line. It's guys that have been in the program.
Yeah, no, that's huge. Like I said, that's where retention and being able to retain your guys, and then having guys come back. We talked about that. Slaughter and Austin. I saw today Field Yates put out his mock draft. I don't know if you saw that. And Austin Barber is 12th. Did you?
Yeah, to Cleveland, I think it was.
Yeah. And then right behind him,
that's two I've seen now. Austin Barber first round.
And they had Caleb right after him at 13, going to Dallas. So it's that goes to show you when we can start talking about guys getting drafted in the first round, guys, that are been in the program. That's what we got to get back to. We got to get back to those guys getting drafted. That's one of those key recruiting components. We talk about recruiting and how big it is when you can basically say, we're getting back to putting guys in the NFL like we used to. We're putting guys in the NFL like Bama and Georgia and, some of these, Ohio State's. Florida's always put guys in the league, but let's put some more first rounders in there just to even help that sales pitch to basically be like, hey, you want to come play, for championships, you want to come play to go to the NFL, and you're going to get your NIL, you're going to get all that good stuff. This is where you want to be. The flagship, baby. Come on.
the flagship for sure. All right, so good stuff there. Hey, that'll do it for all these fall camp interviews. It's kind of the car wash of players that we get, but you could definitely tell, man. There's some good kids on this roster.
Yeah,
they've recruited some good kids. We want them to be great players too. At the same time, and hopefully that's what comes with it. But I will say, no matter what happens on the field, there are some good players. Or there's some good people. On that football team. So that's another reason I was just wanting to win, man.
You root for them.
You root for them. Yeah. I root for the guys. So it's just in my position, I've been able to be a little more closer to these players and stuff, and it's just you see it. You really see it, and you hope it really, really shines through with some wins as well. So. All right, Sponge, next time we get together, man, it will be just a couple of days from a week. So, that'll be fun. I don't even know what we'll be doing next Wednesday because I ain't spending an hour previewing.
We're not talking LIU. We're not talking Long Island, baby.
We will a little bit, but man, I don't. We'll get creative.
I don't even know what to break down on them. I don't even know if they have a Twitter page.
It's not very good. You mentioned it, and I already had it in my head, but I want to see. Hopefully, we can find a pretty accurate depth chart with them.
Okay, yeah.
Because I want to compare offensive line weight versus defensive line weight.
Okay,
both ways.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Because I've seen. Right,
We'll do that. We'll do that for sure.
We'll do that. But we'll get creative and have to do something else with that one because it ain't gonna be a full game preview by any means. So.
Yeah.
All right, Sponge.
All right, my
Good
brother.
stuff, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That'll do it for this episode of Gators Breakdown. For Sponge, I am David Waters right here on Gators Breakdown. Guys and girls out there, thank you for joining us on this episode of Gators Breakdown.